Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of 2 of the second video in the series with Mike Thurston, and we're continuing our look at various factors that may be influencing your rate of progress. In particular, dedicating the video to those guys out there who have significant training experience, so we're talking at least 5 years or greater in the gym, but just not seeing the results that you're hoping to see. So in the first part of the video, first of all, I'd encourage you to go watch that first. The link is in the description below. We focus really on aspects of your actual training in that first video. And in today's video, we're going to focus on a couple other factors, including lifestyle and nutrition. So head on over, watch the first video first, come back here, and then let's get started.
So your training needs to be looked at. Your nutrition, I always feel like nutrition can be optimized. If you are tracking your macros, that's a good thing. If you've been religiously tracking them and you're not seeing progress, then it's usually one or two things, okay? If you're not getting bigger, you're not adding size, usually it's down to the fact that you're not eating enough. Okay, it's plain and simple. Same thing goes for if you're just not able to lose body fat. You may potentially just be eating too much, or there's something down to what it is you're doing or eating which just isn't working for you. Maybe you're eating the wrong types of food. Maybe you're just being inconsistent and going way overboard on a weekend. Maybe you're just not tracking properly and you're actually over-consuming when you think you're under-consuming. So there's a lot of things there which you need to look at and tweak.
For me, I thought, well, yeah, I eat healthy. But like most people who think that or use that phrase, there's potentially a large difference between eating healthy and aligning your nutrition in a way to optimally support progress towards your goals. And I fell into that rut, and it's possible that many of you are sort of in that environment right now. If you don't know exactly what you're eating or have a very good idea of exactly what you're eating, you could be miles off from where you should be. For me, the issues vary between just under-consuming, so not getting enough calories overall, particularly not enough carbs, not enough fats, and over-prioritizing protein consumption. And part of that is, I made excuses while, working a very busy job in sort of the corporate environment. And I really just wanted to stay lean and avoid the pitfalls of what seemed to happen to so many busy people, just gaining on pounds and pounds of body fat. And then, I went through periods where I just consumed too much. I wanted to make, some gains, obviously too quickly, and that resulted in gaining large amounts of body fat. So sort of two extremes from not keeping an eye on, what my caloric intake was like day to day on average, or, trying to specifically hit macro targets. So if it's one thing that I could, one piece of advice I could give is, take the time to at least understand how much you're consuming day to day. It's pretty easy these days. There are a ton of apps you can use to track your consumption that will calculate for you your caloric intake, as well as your intake of the three main macronutrients, so carbs, proteins, fats. And then from there, once you have a picture of what it is you're consuming, try to optimize your macros and your caloric intake towards your goal. Just pay attention to what's happening, what you're eating, and how your body is responding, and then make small adjustments from there as you go along. So one of the excuses that I used, and one of the things that most people will say, is that they just don't have enough time. And it's true. Time is something that we seem to have less and less of every day. But the reality is, preparing meals that are, fairly simple and which fit your caloric targets and your macro targets, as well as which taste good and are good for you, can be prepared relatively quickly, can be prepared in batches, and can be prepared for a pretty cost-effective price. Being able to keep these meals quick and simple is also going to help you to balance the time that you have for your career and social life and family life and so on. And one quick piece of advice that I would provide as well that can be very beneficial is to include your family, include your friends. Wherever possible, gather around for healthy meals at home. Your friends and your family are going to see the results that you're obtaining from this sort of more structured, more sensible approach to your nutrition, and they're going to want some of those results for themselves.
And then in terms of just your external lifestyle outside of the gym, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are your stress levels low? Are you not, overtraining? Are you recovering enough? So all these things make a big difference.
Now, all those lifestyle factors individually and then collectively can influence the rate at which you're able to progress. So if you're neglecting one or a number of those factors, it really can shift the balance away from you being able to achieve the progress, whether it is in terms of building muscle or in terms of losing body fat that you're actually able to accomplish. So pay attention to them. Your goal as much as possible is going to be to remain calm, to be rested, and to always be recovered enough sufficiently for your next intense training session. And one thing that I'll briefly touch on is alcohol consumption. So I think many of you watching, or hopefully many of you watching, will say, well, I hardly ever drink. And while that may be true, think about it a little bit more critically. When are you drinking? How many drinks are you having? Is it around food? Is it 3 times a week, 5 times a week? Is it once a week but 10 drinks? And think about the impact that can have on your physique, and then be a little bit more strategic with when you consume alcohol and how much.
And for somebody, if you do have everything to your sort of best knowledge on point, you've done everything possible and you're still not seeing progress, I would advise that you seek assistance of a coach or somebody who really knows what they're doing, because it's obvious at this point that it's kind of out of your hands. Everything you've done to your best ability isn't working, so it's time to get an expert on board and see if they can figure out what is the issue and help you to break through that plateau.
When enlisting the help of a coach, my advice would be to choose wisely. So make sure when you're looking around, you identify someone who is, number one, knowledgeable in the areas that you aren't and the areas that you're seeking their help. Number two, try to find someone who's actually interested in your goals and your progress. And then don't rely on the coach to provide all the answers, and don't rely on the coach to provide all the motivation. The hard work is definitely yours. The responsibility to be consistent is also yours. And in the end, the results are yours.
And I do dislike saying this, but it could actually be down to genetics as well. There are some people out there that just have an awful time building muscle and losing body fat. And unfortunately for those people, progress is just going to be slow, and you're going to have to work harder than other people out there. But I'd never let that dishearten you and just think, oh, do you know what, I've got bad genetics, so I'm not going to try anything. Usually when you blame things on your genetics, that's just an easy way out. But it is a fact that other people are going to have an easier time compared to others. So you may be one of the unlucky ones that just needs to push harder and be a little bit more strict with everything outside of the gym.
Issues around genetics are generally too complicated, too complex to even worry about. I would say just focus on training hard and training smart, and the progress will come, even if it's just incremental progress along the way.
But I think the most important thing is, if you're not seeing the progress, do not give up. Okay, there is a solution. There is something you can do to break past the plateau. You just need to figure out what it might be, or find somebody else that can figure out what the issue is.
Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you found the information contained in part 2 as well as, of course, in part 1 to be beneficial to you. Mike and I decided to really try to provide as much information as we can on the topic, and in the end I decided to split it into 2 videos so that you had an opportunity to try to absorb all of it. Now, of course, if you have any comments or questions for either Mike or myself, just add them to the comment section below. I'll address those either in written replies or in future videos. For now, guys, if you found the video to be beneficial, of course, give it a thumbs up. And I'd encourage you to subscribe to receive notifications for future videos in the series with Mike, as well as videos on a variety of other topics that will be posted to the channel. And if you haven't already, I can't understand why you haven't, but if you haven't, go ahead, subscribe to Mike's channel. The link is also in the description below. And until next time, guys, aloha from Hawaii.